Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, like a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in the combo. Single item at regular price.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers and Clippers are on the road tonight to begin the second half of the season. The Lakers are at Golden State. They won't have LeBron tonight. He's going to miss the game because of his sore left ankle. Keep your eyes on this situation. LeBron's ankle injury could become a problem for the Lakers. He had a week off for the All-Star break, and he's still not healthy. At the moment, the Lakers are 2 games out from qualifying for the playoffs. Tip-off tonight is 7 on TNT. The Clippers are at Oklahoma City, 5 p.m. tip-off. They start the second half with the third best record in the Western Conference. They're only 2 games behind number 1 Minnesota. The Clippers are in the top 5 in 4 major categories. Kawhi Leonard is 3rd in the NBA in three-point shooting and 4th in steals. Paul George is 5th in steals, and James Harden is 5th in assists. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte with the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial. In a public opinion survey commissioned by KBLA Talk 1580 and conducted by Viteris, the black voters surveyed were highly enthusiastic about the March 2024 primary. The race for Los Angeles District Attorney is being hotly contested. Incumbent DA George Gascon's efforts to implement progressive criminal justice reforms have generated pushback from within his own office, the broader law enforcement community, and some in the general public. He was the subject of at least 2 failed attempts to qualify recalls. The concerns about crime are reflected in the polling results of black voters. Nearly 1 in 4 have been victims of violent crime or have someone close to them who has been a victim. 1 in 5 black voters have personally been victims of property crime in the last 2 years. A majority of respondents feel less safe than they did a year or 2 ago, but they reject the notion that criminal justice reform has gone too far. This year, black voters will be looking for candidates who speak to the complexity of the issues as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. Nearly half of black voters have an unfavorable view of DA Gascon, but his challengers are largely unknown. Nearly half of the black voters are also undecided, which means there's a clear opportunity for candidates to connect with black voters. Our poll makes 3 things abundantly clear. Black voters matter. Black voters are closely following this race, and the candidates for DA have a lot of work to do. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to the mobilization and use of the franchise to empower our audience to identify and pursue their interests in advancing equity, inclusive representation, and multiracial solidarity. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. We welcome your feedback.
KBLA Talk 1580. Well, yes, we are back on track talking with candidates who would like to be LA County Superior Court judges. Joining me now is a deputy DA with a passion for justice. He says he's driven by the experiences of his immigrant parents. He is he's had a long journey in the justice world. He went to UC Berkeley, graduated cum laude, went to Loyola Law School, and was a deputy DA with the Fresno County District Attorney's Office, and went on to be a deputy DA here in Los Angeles, which he says, at least his bio says, was his dream. DA Jacob Lee, welcome to KBLA.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here this morning.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and happy to see you in person. That's always a plus. Your bio says that one of the things that started you on this journey was an experience your parents had. Their Korean immigrants came to this country when you were a little tiny kid, and I guess they were robbed?
Yes. So my desire to get into public service started pretty much from the beginning of my upbringing. I immigrated from South Korea to Los Angeles at the age of 1. When my parents immigrated to Los Angeles shortly thereafter, they were robbed multiple times. My mother was robbed twice on 2 separate occasions. My father was robbed once at gunpoint on a different occasion. And I was actually with my mother during one of those robberies, but I was just too young to remember it.
Wow.
And my parents, a few years later, when they felt that I was old enough, told me about what had happened to them. And the first question I asked was, did they catch the perpetrators? My parents unfortunately said no. I asked why. They said it was because they never reported the crimes. They were intimidated by the police, who neither looked like them nor spoke their language, and they were just intimidated by the entire criminal justice system. That stuck with me, and that feeling of intimidation is something that I've heard time and time again from other friends, family members of those friends, other strangers I would meet along the road, and that is what got me into public service. And I wanted to make a difference in my community by making it safer. And the first way I thought about doing that was to become a deputy district attorney. That's in fact the reason why I went to law school. But now, given my experience and my viewpoints and my life experience, I believe I can be of better service to the public for LA County by being a judge.
Why? Why is that?
The reason is because now more than ever, we need judges who are strong but also compassionate. My life experience produces the compassion that I feel judges need to have, because we need judges who have life experience, who understand the struggles of life, which is what me and my family went through. Growing up, we grew up in a pretty poor area of Koreatown. Koreatown is not like what it used to be, what it is like now. A lot has developed, but back then it wasn't necessarily the best place to live in. And I grew up in a relatively poor area. My family struggled. My mom had to work multiple jobs. My father started a whole new career as a painter, painting houses, the buildings of houses. And that's actually at the age of 70 what he still does now, because my parents don't have any retirement saved up. My mother at the age of 68 is still working hard. And so our family did struggle, and I understand that, and that life experience is important as a judge. But at the same time, we also need judges who are knowledgeable and understand when to give people second chances and when not to, because judges also need to understand that the community's safety is at risk. And now more than ever, I do believe we need judges who are balanced on their view of justice. And I believe that's what my campaign offers.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. When to give people a break and when not to. So what informs the when not to?
Exactly. That really comes from experience and judgment after handling many cases. So I'm thankfully in a position in my office where I'm a calendar deputy district attorney. That is typically a senior position in the DA's office, where the DA makes the final offer on all the felony cases that flow through my courtroom, and that includes very serious and violent felonies. I'm probably one of the youngest calendar DAs in my office, where I've been making these offers on my cases for the past 2+ years, and I'm very privileged and thankful to be in that position. That experience of day in and day out deciding whether to give this person a second chance or not, whether to offer state prison or whether to offer probation and a second chance for this defendant to be supervised in the community, is something I make a decision on every single day by evaluating the facts of the case, the person's criminal history, the person's social background in terms of what I believe led to this person's committing the crime, and seeing if we need to figure out a way to prevent this person from committing another crime, or if this person poses too much of a danger to society to do that. And I also make a recommendation on diversion as well. Ultimately, that decision, whether to grant diversion or not, is for the judge. And that is exactly why judges have a lot of power. But I make that recommendation of whether I would oppose it or I support it. And the fact is, the majority of the cases that I handle, I am giving people second chances, because I also am a firm believer that people deserve second chances, especially when the safety of the community is not at risk, by allowing the person to be released on probation or diversion.
When you spend a lot of your time, working on cases that could be considered pretty hardcore, right? Murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, assaults, burglaries, and your own personal family experience of having had parents repeatedly robbed. I mean, and you're a prosecutor, which many judges are prosecutors. It seems like there's a movement now to have more public defenders on the bench, but right now it's mostly prosecutors. When I hear that profile, I don't, and especially with the politics of the district attorney's office right now, I don't think reformer. I think old-fashioned, lock them up and throw away the key prosecutor/judge.
And I'm very glad that you bring that up. That's precisely why we need diversity on the bench in experience, in viewpoint, and even in age. The difference between me and other candidates is the fact that I'm the youngest candidate in this entire judicial race. I'm 36 years old. When my career started, that's about when Prop 47 went into effect. I saw before Prop 47, I saw how many people the DA's office was putting people in jail for simple possession marijuana crimes. Because I was a law clerk at the time at the LA DA's office doing preliminary hearings on those exact cases. And even as a law clerk at the time, I was a bit shocked. Because I'm not going to lie, I've had plenty of friends who've also partook in experimenting with drugs, marijuana, or maybe other drugs as well, but they're not terrible people. If anything, they were people who needed substance abuse treatment. They needed to figure out ways to control their addiction, and treatment is really what they needed, but not to be locked up. So I understand that, because I've also personally experienced those experiences as well. But the thing is, I also do understand the importance of fighting for justice for our victims as well. So I do believe that I offer a balanced view on what I believe is justice, not simply to lock everyone away in prison, but also to give people second chances as well when it's safe for the community.
And let's talk about your endorsements a little bit too. I mean, again, obviously you're a deputy district attorney, so it's not surprising that the Association of Deputy District Attorneys endorses you. But for me as a progressive, I'm going to say, well, that's probably somebody that's not going to embrace things like the bail reform, things like changes to the way we do business, and particularly when we talk about the bias, the anti-Black bias that we see in our justice system. And you have also been endorsed by the sheriff's ALADS, the Sheriff's Police Association, Deputies Association, along with the Long Beach Democratic Club and the Trojan Democrats. Speak to that.
Sure. I'm very proud of all the endorsements that I've received, because if anything, I believe my endorsements show how I'm getting support from all sides. Certainly law enforcement, because I have been a deputy district attorney, and law enforcement are our justice partners. We need to figure out a way to work effectively with law enforcement to reduce crime. They're not the enemies. We need to figure out a way. There are bad cops out there, don't get me wrong, and I've dealt with quite a few of them, because I, as the prosecutor on many of my cases, I'm also responsible for turning over Brady information. That is a legal term, but it simply means if there is something, some misconduct that an officer has committed, then I need to turn that over. And I, of course, am obligated by my ethical duties to do that, which I do in all my cases. But at the same time, we can't vilify law enforcement because they're also the ones that we rely on to keep our communities safe. So I'm proud of those endorsements. But I'm also very proud of all the other Democratic clubs, for example, from whom I receive my endorsements. And these are clubs who are, members are progressive. These are people who want restorative justice. And the thing is one thing for a defense attorney or a public defender to try to get their client the best deal, because typically that best deal will be probation, diversion, no jail time. But it's a whole different thing when a deputy district attorney who has all the power and support to offer state prison and to recommend that this person remain in jail decides to take a second chance and offer this person probation and offer this person diversion. That's something I've done in the majority of my cases certainly for the past 2+ years as counter DA. And restorative justice only works when you have a prosecutor on the other side who agrees with you. There needs to be a handshake at the end of this plea bargain. And I've been that DA, at least in my courtroom, where I've been making that happen. And I believe in large part that has a lot to do with my own personal experiences, my own immigrant upbringing, and also my youth. Because I am not someone who's been entrenched in the DA's office for, let's say, 30+ years. That's a little different. Someone who built their career in the 90s when we were definitely hard on crime. I started my career when Prop 47 was first in effect. And I believe there's a difference in viewpoint as a result. And I don't simply speak it, I do it every single day. I'm very thankful to have a lot of support from defense attorneys and even public defenders who understand that I'm not about simply locking people away, but actually giving people a fair shake, but in a balanced way. And that's what I believe that I offer compared to, let's say, my opponents in my race.
Okay, give me your elevator pitch. Why should we vote Jacob Lee for seat number 39 on the LA County Superior Court?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I pretty much did say it, but one thing I do want to emphasize is I grew up in LA since the age of 1. LA has been my home. The only time I ever left LA was for the 4 years I went to UC Berkeley, but right afterwards I came right back. You know, I even got into UC Hastings, but I did not want to live in the Bay Area. I wanted to come back to Los Angeles, and that's why I went to Loyola Law School, because LA is my home. And the only reason I also went to Fresno is because at the time, the LADA's office wasn't hiring. There was a hiring freeze. And so I went to Fresno to get that experience, but came right back the moment there was a job opening and I got hired. But LA's been my home. I'm also the father of 2 children. I've seen LA change so much throughout the years. And unfortunately, in the past few years, things have gotten worse. Homicide rates have increased significantly, over 50% since 2019. There has, right now, in terms of auto thefts, it is the highest.
But our latest stats show homicides down, though.
Well, I think it depends on how you interpret the stats, but at least based on my source, homicide rates are actually up since 2019. And also auto thefts, I think you and I would certainly agree on this, that is the highest it's ever been. And that's not even talking about retail crime, which a lot of people are being emboldened to simply commit because they believe there's going to be no penalty. So I understand the severity of the current situation in LA. But also, again, I understand the importance of compassion as well. And so I believe I offer the balanced view on justice that LA needs right now.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your candidacy with us. JacobLeeForJudge.com. It's F-O-R, Jacob, L-E-E, F-O-R, Judge.com to find out more. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right, thank you so much for having me.
You're listening to KBLA, Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Some people just know the best places to eat around town. Those are the people who know to choose Allstate. They know exactly where to go to get exactly what you're wanting. They know where to find the spiciest hot pot, the gooeyest brownies, and the tenderest, most flavorful portobello steak. Those people also know that safe drivers save 40% with Allstate.
Saving 40% is based on the national average premium savings for Allstate auto customers with a clean driving record versus those without. Savings vary by state and vary based on how you buy, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
She's so smooth, so... I'm interrupting my own shower to remind you to treat your skin like the queen she is with Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash, packed with Olay's highest level of vitamin B3 complex. It's so moisturizing that it will give you visibly smoother, head-turning skin in just 14 days. People wondering, how'd she get so smooth? Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash. Also, try Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion.
Are you facing an unexpected financial emergency? You need WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com can help you get up to $3,000 fast. WeFixMoney.com is free to use, available 24/7, and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Go to the name you trust, WeFixMoney.com. If you need emergency cash up to $3,000 for bills or anything else, type WeFixMoney.com directly into your browser. That's WeFixMoney.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay. I'm feeling a little discombobulated today because I'm going from judicial candidate to talking about random stuff, from judicial candidate to talking about random stuff. We set it up that way because we got to give people time to get in, get out, and have adequate time on the clock so that everybody gets the same opportunity. That's fairness. We believe in fairness around here. What do they say? What do I say? Fair and unbalanced. Meaning, of course, we have a point of view. We're unapologetically progressive, and we aim to get you the facts, but it's also about fairness. Everyone should have the same opportunity to pitch their campaign, to answer the questions, to talk to you. And that's why we do it the way we're doing it, in case you wonder, I promised a pair of tickets, another pair of tickets. Miles and I are hosting a show this weekend. It's actually an African dance contest and exhibition with all these different categories. Happy Black History Month. There'll be the collegiate competition. There's a hip-hop category. I'm forgetting a few categories. It's fun. This is one of the things that African Focus Incorporated does. They are the group that, of course, I work with, along with KBLA, to bring people to Africa. And we've got a pair of tickets. It is Saturday, starts at 6. Red carpet starts at 5. 800-920-1580. We'll take caller 15 right now for a pair of tickets. Of course, you're welcome to go. It's at Cal State Dominguez Hills. You don't have to win tickets to go. You can just go because you decided to go. But we're giving away a free pair of tickets right now. Join me, Miles, and folks for hip-hop, freestyle, collegiate dance. It is a taste of Black history. and it is on Saturday night at Cal State Dominguez Hills. It's 1000 East Victoria Street in the city of Carson, California, and music by DJ Nice. It's really fun. So we'll see you there. What a fun way to celebrate Black history. And I guess the next round of rain doesn't start till Sunday, so we should have a dry occasion there at the African Dance Contest. I was reading this article, and I've been meaning to bring it up to you because we're hearing more and more about AI, and it's being used for everything under the sun. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about how in 2020, the AI and the bots and all of these technological tools were used to sway the elections, to change the conversation and the tone and tenor of that dialogue between voters, between different ethnic groups and voter interest groups. Well, this article really got me thinking because it's talking about how now AI can not only change, you know, a deep fake where you think something's happened that didn't happen in the news or in real time, but now we're starting to see AI being used to create deep fakes of historical incidents, meaning that the fakery, the meddling with the truth, the misinformation and disinformation is no longer limited to the present. It is actually being used to alter the past. And that is really bone-chilling if you think about it in the context of this Black History Month and the movement that we're seeing to suppress Black history, to erase it. You all saw the viral video of the parents' permission slip from one school where they had to sign a permission slip for their child to read a book written by a Black person. That's literally what the permission slip said. We're granting permission for you to read a book by an African American. Oh, Lord. I'm not a pessimist. I'm an optimist. But I say this because I think this is something we have got to be aware of. And with some things, you know, with some things it's easier to tell. If someone fakes a modern news story or a picture, we can look at the metadata and say that's fake. But when you go back in time, those old historical documents and photos, we don't have that kind of metadata. So fake documents and fake photos that change the historical record or try to change the historical record are going to be something we're going to have to look at. You know, political disinformation and misinformation is nothing new. People have lied and tried to erase entire groups of people, whether they be First Nations, Native Americans, or whether they be persecuted groups in various political regimes. But now we're at a point where this can become really, and people are so gullible about mis and disinformation. I think that we are, and we're starting to see governments and educational institutions invest in digitally cataloging these historical records so that we can avoid the rewriting of history by AI, which becomes a snowball effect because AI feeds off other information that's already on the World Wide Web, and it can grow these lies and this misinformation and become more and more entrenched in its own cycle of misinformation and digital creation of intellectual documents, argument, even legal discourse. All right, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Happy Black History Month. We will meet another candidate for LA County Municipal Court Judge when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Good morning, I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Donald Trump is revealing a list of potential running mates. Trump confirmed He's considering South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, who is African American, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem as his possible vice president. Apple is launching its first sports app just in time for March Madness. Apple Sports is a free app that shows real-time scores, stats, and live betting odds. The app launched on Wednesday with data from the NBA, NHL, and MLS, and will soon add others, including the NFL. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Wendy's breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, like a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in the combo. Single item at regular price.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers and Clippers are on the road tonight to begin the second half of the season. The Lakers are at Golden State. They won't have LeBron tonight. He's going to miss the game because of his sore left ankle. Keep your eyes on this situation. LeBron's ankle injury could become a problem for the Lakers. He had a week off for the All-Star break, and he's still not healthy. At the moment, the Lakers are 2 games out from qualifying for the playoffs. Tip-off tonight is 7 on TNT. The Clippers are at Oklahoma City, 5 p.m. tip-off. They start the second half with the 3rd best record in the Western Conference. They're only 2 games behind number 1 Minnesota. The Clippers are in the top 5 in 4 major categories. Kawhi Leonard is 3rd in the NBA in three-point shooting and 4th in steals. Paul George is 5th in steals, and James Harden is 5th in assists. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Do you support public education? More than 38,000 educators at United Teachers Los Angeles do too. Together, we have fought for a better public education for our students and communities, and having you on our side has been essential in our fight for better public schools. Together, we will continue to work for public schools with green spaces, more mental health staff, smaller class sizes at every grade level, and a higher investment in the Black Student Achievement Plan. We are UTLA, and you make us stronger.
Art tells a story, your story, and inspires others in your community to do the same. This Black History Month, AARP is celebrating the undeniable impact and contributions of Black art and artists everywhere. We're thrilled to celebrate these creators over 50. Through their work and persistence, they make society a better place by bringing us all closer together. Learn more at aarp.org/Black Community.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of this light of ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. A dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This light of ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This light of ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so I misspoke. I meant to say LA County Superior Court Judge. That was just me reverting to, I don't know, whenever we used to have municipal court judges. I was on the radio then, I guarantee you. Thank you to my friends and my in-studio guests for updating me on what we call it now, even though somewhere in myself I knew that. We're in election season. You can vote right now. You have your mail-in ballot now, and the in-person voting starts on Saturday. Joining me in studio is a candidate for LA County Superior Court Judge, seat 137. He's a successful attorney, a small business owner, and he says he comes from a long tradition of LA business owners. He is neither a prosecutor nor a public defender. He says that the only side he is on is that of justice for all. Attorney Michael Berg, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. You're a Sherman Oaks guy. You went to Cal State Northridge, grew up in Sherman Oaks, graduated with poli-sci, and then went to Southwestern School of Law. And now, from private practice, you want to, and entrepreneurship, you want to be a judge. Why?
You know, I've been a criminal defense attorney. I represent people accused of crimes and also victims' rights. And I've been doing that for about 16 plus years. I've been an attorney for about 18. And there's a lot that can be done. And, you know, I think I decided I wanted to run for judge was because of one of my cases. I had a case, it was a very serious case, where my client called 911 and he said he was going to kill himself. LAPD arrived. They saw, and when they arrived, he's standing in the middle of the street with a very large knife. They called the mental health unit to deal with him, but then he starts walking toward the officers. So they feel like they had to take action. It didn't go very well. He ended up chasing the officers with the knife in the police report. They said they were going to use deadly force, but they could never get a clear shot because he was always between two officers. So they tased him. And I met him in court for the first time. He had no recollection of what happened, and he was an absolute mess. And I convinced the judge over the prosecutor's objection to get him into a lockdown mental health facility. And then I did a motion for mental health diversion. Once again, the prosecutors were objecting to it. And thank God this judge granted it. And I'm happy to report I've been done with this case about 4 years. And today, I still talk to him. He is sober. He has his mental health under control. And he's a productive member of society today. I think there's a lot of judges right now. Well, I don't know about a lot of judges. There are judges who are denying mental health diversion motions. And what would have happened? We can play out what could have happened if the judge denied this motion. So he would have gone to prison. He would have done probably 4 years. He would have done maybe 2.25 years. And then he'd be released on the street, not gotten any help in prison, can still all get the drugs he wants in prison. And they're just going to throw him on the street. He's going to be homeless and he's going to be dangerous. But I'm glad that didn't happen. And, you know, I'm a big supporter of mental health diversion. And it gives us an opportunity to try to help somebody. I don't really see a downside because if they don't want the help, they can get thrown out of mental health diversion and be put back in the same exact position they were prior to the mental health diversion, facing prison time or jail time. But we have an opportunity to help somebody. And I'm one person, and I can do one case at a time in my courtroom. I'd say a good portion of my clients do have mental health issues.
It's a huge problem facing the county and also the state. You said you'd like to see more mental health diversion, and the experience that you have with this particular client and others, how do you see that impacting the way you would be as a judge on the bench?
I've done a lot of them. I gave you an extreme example
of
one of my cases. But, you know, it's only when I started seeing judges denying these motions, not even for very serious crimes, like if they were afraid that they might murder somebody or something like that, like low-level crimes. And I saw a judge sitting there with a piece of paper with a script of why he was denying it. So if it went up on appeal or a writ, it would make sure that he checked all his boxes.
And possibly had used that script before.
Yeah.
What else do you envision when you think about being a judge?
I want to do criminal. So you can request what you want. They'll put you wherever they want to put you, Superior Court. But I would request criminal, and I would request the outlying areas, places like Lancaster, Pomona, or even Torrance, where there's an uneven justice from what I've seen. cases out there even today are handled differently than if you were in downtown LA. I have a case coming up right now in Van Nuys, where I know for a fact I've had this exact same case in downtown, charged a misdemeanor downtown, but it's charged as a felony in Van Nuys.
Wow. And that's at the discretion of...
That's the prosecutor. I mean, that's the prosecutor.
The prosecutor, right.
But
then the judge decides what to do with that charge to an extent.
There's a lot of options for criminal defense attorneys to approach a judge on a case, which give judges kind of some power and a check over the prosecutor.
Mm. When you say the justice isn't even, it's the charges that are different, and you're saying that as a judge you would have enough discretion working with a prosecutor or with a defense attorney to try to bring more balance?
I think it would be more with the defense attorney, because the prosecutor, when they file the charges,
they want what they want.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
But I've been in front of judges who push a prosecutor to do something that they think is right and what's just for a case.
And what else? What do you think? What else do you think you would bring to the bench? I mean, certainly, most of the people that run for judge are prosecutors, and then you have this, public defenders, sort of movement of public defenders that are starting to run, and you are neither. But I notice you have a pretty long list of judges that have endorsed you. So, what do you think? What is Michael Berg bringing to the bench?
Well, I'd say kind of like a judicial philosophy. I'd say I'm practical with a strong believer in the rule of law. I want to help restore faith in our judiciary and will ensure that all members of our community are treated fairly, respectfully, and in accordance with the law. In my practice, I've developed extensive trusted relationships with my clients that has given me a tremendous insight into the reasons why individuals commit crime and become entangled in the criminal justice system, and how judges can effectively prevent recidivism and address serious criminal issues. For example, in a criminal case where the defendant presents mental health issues, as a condition of bail, the judge can require the defendant to seek treatment or remain on medication as medically advised, an underutilized tool that can help ensure the defendant gets treatment and does not reoffend at the outset of the case. Similarly, where appropriate, judges can condition bail or diversion on defendants' participation in inpatient substance abuse and mental health treatment for up to 2 years, which can be a highly effective way to address the underlying issues that may have caused the defendant to become entangled in the criminal justice system in the first place. This is what I mean by having a practical judicial philosophy. In these instances, there are immediate steps the judge can take to prevent future crime from reoccurring and address the underlying cause of the pending case.
Mm. Okay, you said in that statement that judges can help prevent recidivism. Well, how does that work?
No judge has ever asked me, like even when the charges, there's no ever question of the prosecutor or me, hey, is there a mental health or substance abuse issue here? I mean, sometimes it's obvious if there's a DUI. That's the first
right.
thing to question.
Yeah,
but
right.
but that's not the majority of cases where there's a real issue with mental health or substance abuse, and judges need to ask. And you might have to ask the prosecutor, because as a judge you don't get the police reports. You have to ask, hey, look, is there mental health or substance abuse issues here? Anything I need to know? And the prosecutor will tell you if they think there is, and it's something you can address right then and there. You can't force anyone to do, but it's a way to try to help people move along and get better. It's a start.
One of the things that has taken us to where we are right now with our justice system, sort of at a crossroads, right, as we look at these care first models and changing our approach to rehabilitation and restoration, is addressing the racial bias that is within our justice system. I mean, it just is, whether you look at the application of, the death penalty, or whether you look at the application of, the way people are arrested, the way they're stopped in LA County. We've got lots of data to show that there's a baked in anti-blackness and racial discrimination. How can that be addressed from the bench, or can it?
Some of it can be. I mean, I had a case. One of my first cases was a young African American guy sitting in front of his house. LAPD rolls up, and he ended up getting up when they drove by and went in the house. They said he ran in the house away from him. Okay, that's not a reason actually to stop him. But what they did was they went in the house after him, arrested him, then searched the house, and then found a gun inside the house, and said, "Oh, you were possession of a loaded firearm." He was always on his. I mean, none of that was true, but he was always on his property. No crime was committed, even if he had the gun while he was sitting on the porch. No crime was committed. Stuff like that. You probably won't see as a judge. It was rejected. Sometimes that's very shocking to me when I see stuff like that. And I see a lot of that kind of stuff. But one thing is holding police officers accountable. It's one way to do it. And as a criminal defense attorney, I file motions to suppress evidence because of an illegal stop. When a cop stops you, they need to have either a warrant or they have to have probable cause. They have to believe a crime has been committed. So that might be speeding, even to get in contact with you.
Right.
I file motions, not myself, all criminal defense attorneys. We file these motions all the time, and they are routinely denied. I mean, I had a case where I had spot on law, and the prosecutor wasn't even arguing with me. And the judge denied my motion. And then I'm like really? And the judge is like, counsel, not even close. There was no opposing argument.
Wow.
I had multiple case law saying this is what you need for this stop, what to do, and it was not done in this case. This should have been granted. What this does is it lowers the bar for policing, and it continues to lower it and lower it and lower it. And because the officer's like, oh, that I'm allowed to do that.
Right.
The judge said it was fine.
Yeah.
So now that's what I'm going to do. And then they go one step lower. And then they go in, and the judge says, no, that was fine also. It's so bad that the Supreme Court said that officers don't need to know the law. They only have to be reasonable in their application of the law. And that's just always for an excuse for the officer. Instead of saying, if a judge says, no, you know what, you didn't have probable cause, I'm going to exclude this evidence, that officer will never do it again.
Right.
They wasted their time. They're in court. They're probably embarrassed. But it takes someone willing to hold people accountable.
All right, give us your pitch or why we should vote Michael Berg for judge. And it's michaelbergforjudge.com. And Berg is B-E-R-G, and it's spelled out F-O-R, michaelbergforjudge.com. Yeah, go ahead.
For the most part of my 18 years in private practice, I have been in court on a daily basis, representing clients accused of crimes and victims of crimes. I have a deep understanding of the challenges and burdens of our court system and the issues impacting litigants, witnesses, and victims who become involved in the legal proceedings. I am not a prosecutor or a public defender who sits in the same courtroom all day. I have appeared before hundreds of judges throughout Southern California, all the way from Imperial County to Santa Barbara, and I actually looked at this. I've been in every single courthouse in Los Angeles except one, including all the courts in Orange County, San Bernardino, and Riverside, and Kern County. I know what works and what doesn't work. I deeply value the experience I've had in these courts, which demonstrate how judges can effectively and fairly serve the public and achieve justice. I have a strong understanding how the court can positively influence the community and reduce recidivism. In my practice, I have the opportunity to work with clients and their families over many years. I have formed trusted relationships with my clients that is different than other lawyers who may make brief appearances or just see their clients in courts. In fact, all my clients have my cell phone number, and I get texts in the middle of the night.
Wow.
I know my clients. I understand the reasons why they've become entangled in the criminal justice system, whether it's a defendant, a victim, a witness, or a family member. Consequently, I have a deep understanding about what actions the court can take to address the conduct that's alleged to have occurred and how to prevent crime in the future. I also have a positive, patient, and respectful and egalitarian temperament that will serve me well on the bench and ensure that all litigants and others involved in the proceedings are heard, given fair consideration, and treated with the utmost respect and professional courtesy. I have also a strong practical sense of the pace in which cases can and should progress so the court does not become unduly burdened and jeopardize due process for litigants. My criminal cases have intersected with civil and dependency cases, so I have gained invaluable experience in these divisions of the court.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for coming in. We can find you at michaelbergforjudge.com, right?
Yes. That's FOR.
FOR, Michael Berg, BERG, forjudge.com. He is running for seat number 39 in the LA County Superior Court. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and more straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
City of Los Angeles tenants, get informed today about your eviction rights. Take immediate action if you receive an eviction notice from the court. You have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice or unlawful detainer. Don't self-evict. And you can't be evicted for non-payment of rent unless you owe more than the fair market rent for a unit your size. Learn more eviction information such as at-fault and no-fault evictions at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
It's time to represent your community in the 2024 presidential primary election. When you vote, you get to decide what is best for you, your neighborhood, and your family. Use your power. Make a plan to vote today. Visit plan.lavote.gov. That's plan.lavote.gov to get everything you need to vote in the March 5th presidential primary election. Brought to you by the Los Angeles County Registrar.
Are you ready to ignite your potential? Special Needs Network presents the CORE Workforce Development Grant, an opportunity designed just for you. You've been there for everyone else. Now it's time to be there for yourself. Whether you're a college student or a working professional, the CORE program is here to empower you on your journey. Get paid with free specialized diversity training, mentorship, and stipend to fuel your passion, power, and purpose in the behavioral health sciences. It's time to focus on your dreams while making a difference in your community. Don't wait. Visit snnla.org/core program to apply today. Be the spark that ignites connections. Your future is waiting. Again, that's snnla.org/core program.
Your floors can go from clean to dirty fast. From juice spills, whoops, to muddy paw prints, to little sticky finger marks. Good thing your Swiffer WetJet works fast too. Swiffer WetJet easily cleans everyday messes as quick as they happen. The next mess is right around the corner. So grab your Swiffer WetJet and just spray, push, all clean.
Febreze. So my home is also my office, and before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
That was another way. I would smoke once an hour. That didn't work either. All that would happen at some point of the day, I would end up doubling up. Other ways that I tried to quit was I stopped buying cigarettes totally. But if I took 3 puffs off of 15 friends, those didn't count because they weren't my cigarettes and they weren't full cigarettes. You know, I went through a lot.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, so we're going to finish where we started. I'm not sure if you've been here all along, but I thank you if you have been. I started off reminding us that, and I've been saying this, that election season is now, but it's really now because the day after tomorrow, Saturday, in-person voting starts. And one of the beautiful things, if you happen to live in the state of California, is that you can register on the same day that you vote. So if you're not sure if your registration is up to date, or you just know that it isn't, you know that you haven't registered to vote, you can do it still. You can do it at an in-person voting center. You can't register by mail now. It's too late for that. But what you can do is you can go to any voting center, and you know that now we used to have to go to our polling place, which was written on the back of our, or the front of our ballot that was mailed to us. But you don't have to do that anymore. Any place that lets people vote, you can vote in. And that's one of the great changes that we've seen in California. And you also have same-day registration. So starting Saturday, if you show up, you can register and vote the same day, or you could vote. You could register to vote and then come back a few days later and actually vote, because maybe you need time to think through things on the ballot. I'm going to keep reminding you to go to KBLA1580.com, and you'll be able to hear the interviews with a lot of different candidates, including many of the district attorney candidates. You can also get our public opinion survey there, talking about safety, what Black likely voters in LA County have to say about public safety, and the district attorney's race. I think I was most encouraged by the findings that we are paying attention, that those of us who are likely voters do know there's an election, and we are particularly tracking the district attorney's race. This, though, does not make a lie out of what I said first thing, which is there's a whole bunch of folks walking around that don't even know there's an election, and that the last day to vote is in a week and a half, March 5th. So we can be part of the solution, like we typically are, KBLA delegation, by reminding folks, letting them know. And again, if you're not sure if you're registered, or you don't know where there is a vote center near you, you can go to lavote.gov, and you can also go to the Secretary of State's website. I really like Ballotpedia, because Ballotpedia is not partisan. In other words, it's not going to give you the progressive voter or the conservative voter. It's going to give you, this is what is officially said about this candidate. This is what both sides say about this measure. So Ballotpedia is a great, great source. I also like to look at voter guides. I do look at Maxine Waters. I look at the LA Times. I look at Knock LA. I look at just La Defensa. I look at a lot of different places. I like to see what conservatives are saying. I like to look at the LA County Democratic Party, lacdp.org, I think it is. And sometimes I'll go look at the Republican one, and I'll compare and contrast and then make up my own mind. My friend Jazz Mechanic also has a voting guide you can find on her website. And all of these actually help us to make up our own minds and make smart decisions when it comes to what is going on. I haven't voted yet. I was one of those election day voters. I always would go on the day of the election. And oftentimes I would go with Stevie Wonder. We like to argue and compare notes on how we're going to vote. But last year I did my mail-in ballot, and then I turned it in at the election, at the voting site. And that was satisfying too, because I didn't have to wait in line. But for those of us who are, a little paranoid, we don't want to just leave our ballot lying around. You can do that. You can turn it right in. So let's get it done. This is important. And I know you're tired of hearing this is the most important election of your life, but whether it's the most important election of your life or not, it's important. And I want us all to participate. Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got a great show ahead for you. We've got Freedman Fridays tomorrow with attorney George Feathery. Until then, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Good morning, I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Donald Trump is revealing a list of potential running mates. Trump confirmed he's considering South Carolina Senator. Apple Sports is a free app that shows real-time scores, stats, and live betting odds. The app launched on Wednesday with data from the NBA, NHL,